All right, let's apply what we've learned. I'm going to prompt you with 3 English sentences that you can create using the grammar up until Unit 1, Lesson 4, but using vocabulary that you haven't seen. The vocabulary I would like you to learn for this lesson is, I'm not going to go through each one of these one by one, but I just want to talk about 2 words specifically. 음료수 refers to some sort of drink or beverage, and that can be very broad. It's generally used to talk about something like a Coke or a Pepsi or a Sprite or something like that, but not typically things like water. The word 시원하다 is very common but a little bit interesting in Korean. It's used sort of to describe 3 different things, either a cold drink or beverage, and you can probably see where I'm going with this. The fact that you might be feeling, or a person might be feeling cool, maybe if a cool breeze comes in. And also, it kind of is the word for relaxing, in the sense that if you were going to go into a hot tub or get a massage, that feeling of relaxation that you get from a massage or a hot tub or something like that, you might go into a hot tub and say, 시원하다. That's some ways that this word 시원하다 can be used. Take 10 seconds to try to memorize these words, and if you need more time, you can pause the video. All right, the first sentence I would like you to try is, I like cool drinks. I'll give you 10 seconds, and you can start now. All right, the subject of the sentence is I, so I'll start by putting this here. I could use the informal na, but I usually use the formal ways to make sentences in my videos. I want to say that I like drinks, so I'll use the noun 음료수. That's the object of the sentence. It's the thing that I like, so I'm going to put the object particle on it. And I like them, so I'm going to use the verb 좋아하다. That's unconjugated, and there are many ways that I could conjugate it. I don't get into conjugations until lesson 5 and continue through lessons 6 and 7. But a common way that I do it in my lessons is by doing this, 좋아해요. But there are other ways that you could do it, but you haven't learned how to do them yet. Now, this right now just says I like drinks. I want to point out that there is no way to indicate plurality in Korean. This could very well also mean I like a drink. There's no way to indicate that it's drinks or a drink. There is one way to make objects or things in Korean plural, but it's usually only used for people. So for example, teachers or doctors or people in general, or students or brothers or something like that. It isn't typically used on random objects like this. The only way that you can tell that I'm talking about a drink or drinks is simply by context. Now, this is actually a perfect sentence. It says I like drinks or I like a drink, but it doesn't say that I like cool drinks. If I want to indicate that I like cool drinks, I need to use the adjective 시원하다, but this is so far incorrect, and it's not even a correct sentence right now, because I need to change 시원하다 in order to describe an upcoming noun. And if I want to describe an upcoming noun with an adjective, I want to either use this or this. And the way I decide is depending on the stem of the adjective I'm using. So the adjective is 시원하다. The stem is 시원하, which is not a word. It's never used like that. That's why it's underlined. But because 시원하 ends in a vowel, I need to add this to it, and it's going to become 시원한. This now is not only a correct sentence, but also the sentence I want to create, which is 저는 시원한 음료수를 좋아해요. I like cool drinks. The next sentence I would like you to try is, that actor is very famous as well. I'll give you 10 seconds to try to translate this, and you can start now. All right, the subject of this sentence is the actor. So I'm going to start by writing that here. It could, again, be 저, but I'll just use 그 because that's what I usually do in my lessons. 배우 is the word for actor. And I'll just, for now, use the subject particle, but I'll talk about what I need to change about that later. He is very famous. So let me just write the word 유명하다, which means famous. And this is actually a possible sentence. This is just saying that that actor is famous. And a very common mistake that Korean learners, especially English speakers, a very common mistake they make, is they want to use the word is. Because is in Korean is ida. So Korean learners usually put ida here somewhere. And it doesn't matter where you put it, it's going to be unnatural in this sentence because it's incorrect. The difficult thing about this is that it's confusing in English. Really, I could, even though this is grammatically incorrect because this is not the way it works in English, I could just say that actor very famous as well, and I could perfectly understand what that means. I don't really need this is, even though that's what English makes us do. Korean doesn't make you use the word is, or doesn't make you use ida in these situations. If you're just, and I talk about this in my lesson, so it's very likely you're listening to this thing. Yeah, I know this. Keep going. But anyways, all I need to do to describe something like this is just to have a subject and then the adjective itself. Now, this is unconjugated, but it is actually a possible conjugation because it's an adjective. So I could leave it like that, but I will change it to heyo just because that's the way I normally do it. And again, I get into this in a later lesson. This is also a plausible sentence. This is still saying that that actor is famous. I want to say that he's very famous, so I can use it doesn't really matter which one I use, but I could say aju or you could say 매우. It doesn't really matter. You could also say 너무, even though 너무 traditionally would mean that actor's too famous. These days, it's sort of turned into the meaning of that actor is very famous as well as that actor's too famous, and the situation would make it clear which one you're talking about. Now, this is also a correct sentence, but it's not the sentence I want to create. What I want to create is that actor is very famous as well. So in addition to other actors, that actor is also famous. So in order to do that, I need to use the particle do to indicate that I'm saying that, yeah, in addition to some other actors that I might be talking about, this actor as well, or that actor as well, is also famous. And this sentence would read, 그 배우도 너무 유명해요. The next sentence I would like you to try is, there are a lot of clothes at that store as well. I'll give you 10 seconds and you can start now. Okay, let me just start off by writing that there are a lot of clothes. It's actually a very, very simple and only requires 2 words for me to create this part of the sentence. 옷 is the word for clothes, and again, there's no way to know if it's plural or singular. If I just add the particle e to it and then say 많다, because 많다 indicates or allows me to say that there are a lot of something, that's all that the sentence means so far, and it's actually a perfectly fine sentence. It just means there are a lot of clothes. Let me conjugate 많다 to the same style of conjugation that I've done in my previous 2 verbs, the verb and adjective that we have up there. So let me make it 많아요, even though 많다 is a possible conjugation. This again is fine, and it says there are a lot of clothes. I want to indicate that there are a lot of clothes at that store. So if I want to indicate that there are a lot of clothes at that store, I can write that. And again, you could use 저 if you want, but I'll use 그. And kage is the word for store. But right now, because that's the location, 그 kage is the location in which there are a lot of clothes, I need to add the location marking particle a onto it. Now, this is a perfectly fine sentence, but this just says that there are a lot of clothes at that store. I want to add a little bit more complexity to it and indicate that there are also clothes at that store as well, in the situation that there are clothes at Bobby's store and also at Claire's store and also at Jimmy's store and also at that store. You can actually attach do to situations like this where you are referring to a place and then referring to specifically that also at that place as well, and or this place too. You can actually attach do onto a to indicate in these situations where you're saying that, as well as other locations, this location as well has that particular thing going for it. Now, this sentence would read, 옷이 그 가게에도 많아요. Well, that was fun. I hope you learned a lot.